Hello and welcome to this video overview tutorial of Adobe Audition. I'm using version 2023. It doesn't matter if you're using the same exact version as me, but I would always recommend that you update your software to the newest version just to eliminate bugs and problems that you could run into. So this video is going to be a basic overview of how to use Adobe Audition, both for individual track recording and multi-track recording. I'm going to go through all of the different tools and features of Adobe Audition, and by the end of this video, you should be proficient enough with the software to be able to record your audio, master it in a way that it sounds nice, as long as your recording space is good enough. And basically, it's just a full beginner's tutorial. I will have timestamps down below so you can jump to the areas that may be concerning to you or the trouble areas for you. But let's go ahead and dive into the video. So Adobe Audition is an audio editing and recording software from Adobe that allows us to record individual tracks, which is what you see here, as well as multi-track, which is what you will see here. And as with any software by Adobe, you're able to customize the workspace to look and feel how you want to make it more comfortable for you. Just briefly about the workspace here, if we go up to Window and then go to Workspace, you'll see a bunch of different presets here. I have one that I call Radio Production. I have another one that I call VoiceOver Final. There's a couple others here. Just remember, when you start moving things around and get a little bit overwhelmed, you can always go back up here and restore it to a previous saved layout. So again, if I click one of these like restoration, it's going to look a whole lot different. So I'm going to go ahead and go back to the one that I set up for this video tutorial. Now, once you open the software, creating a new file is simple. There's two different files that we're going to talk about today. If we open up Adobe Audition and then go to File, New, you're going to see a couple of things here. Don't worry about CD layout. You have multi-track session and audio file. We're going to start with audio file, and then later in the video, we're going to cover multi-track as well. Once you've done that, you'll see the new audio file box come available to you. You'll see something that says file name, sample rate, channels, bit depth. Now, unless you're an audio person and you understand this terminology as far as sample rate, channels, bit depth, I would leave all of this alone. Now, the only one I'm going to cover briefly is right here where it says channels. Let's cover this right now. If something is recorded in mono, that is a single channel audio file, when someone listens to this in a stereo type system or a bit of headphones, they will only hear it from one side or the other. That's going to be mono. Stereo will cover everything. This is what you're normally going to want to record in. And then 5.1 is even beyond that with some of our new technology now, surround sound, things like that. I would recommend you keep it to stereo. Some people like to record in mono and then save in stereo. For the purposes of this video, we're just going to keep it the same here and then click OK. That's going to create the blank canvas for you here where you're going to see your record button, you're going to see your editor here, and then you're going to see the file name over here on the left. Again, all of the different windows can be moved around, as I mentioned earlier. Like right here, we're going to see one that's called Files. This is going to be our, where our files are named, and we can see the list of files here below. If we click and hold any of these, you can see I can drag and drop this. I could put the files here if I wanted to, but for the purposes of this video, I'm going to keep it fairly simple as far as that goes and as far as what it may look like. And if you ever want to close out a panel, you just click the three lines and go to Close Panel, and that will remove that specific one. And then just go to Window and then select. If you've moved one around or deleted one, you can always bring it back by going to Window and then finding the one that you moved around. In order to start recording, first things first, you want to make sure you have your microphone selected. This is the biggest problem that a lot of folks run into early on is they don't have their microphone selected and they use like their webcam mic and it sounds terrible. So go to Adobe Audition, Preferences, Audio Hardware. Audio hardware is going to take us to where we see the default input and output. Input is going to be the microphone that you want to speak into to be recording from Adobe Audition, and the output is going to be where you want the output to come from. For me, I have a Rodecaster Pro Stereo, which is basically a fancy way of saying I have an audio interface. So basically, I have a a microphone plugged in via XLR cable to my audio interface going into my Mac or into my computer. That's going to be my input. And then I have a set of headphones going from that audio interface to myself, obviously, and that's where I want to listen back to the audio that we've recorded. So make sure the input is the microphone selected and make sure the output is going to be where you want to listen and review the audio. Go ahead and click OK once you have changed your audio inputs and outputs. All right, now it's time to start recording audio. So what do? As you see here in our editor, right here, we have the big red record button here. So if I click that red record button, you can see right now the audio has began to record. This is called a waveform. As you can see, as I speak, it's going up and down. You can change the color of this if you want. I don't really feel I need to show you all of that. And then down below, this is going to be like frequencies. I like to keep my frequencies here. I'm going to go ahead and press the space bar or the record button again to stop recording. And then once I do that now, I basically have this audio where I can zoom in and out. I'm using my mouse scroll wheel to zoom in and out of the audio. And then up above here, if you see the highlight or preview here, I can grab the hand tool here and go left to right to navigate and maneuver around my audio. If I want to get to a specific portion of the audio, I just take the little cursor and I put it where I want it in the audio, and you'll see the playhead, the red line here, is exactly where you want it to be. Now, you may be asking yourself, what is this here? You see all that crazy stuff there. That's going to be the spectral frequency. Up here in the upper left-hand corner, you're going to see where it says Show Spectral Frequency, and then right here, Show Spectral Pitch Display. If you're doing just normal voice work, the frequency stuff is important, and I'm going to drag this up to make it bigger. If you ever make a click or a popping noise in your audio, it'll show up better. For me, when I'm recording audio, I like to see this because I can go here and say, oh, this right here, like this little area here, I can see I probably had a little mouth click or mouth pop here, and I can go in here and I can heal that by going here and adding, silence or whatever it may be, or the auto heal button below. So that's how you record, and that's how you kind of navigate the editor once you've recorded. Now, everything down here should be fairly familiar to you. You have a playback button, the play button here, the space key works for that as well. And then you have right here, you have your loop, playback, and skip selection. Loop playback, if you had that selected, it's highlighted blue. It'll basically, any selection you have, so if I had this selection highlighted and I press space to play it back, has began to record. This is called, all of that will loop back over and over again until I deselect the loop button there. Now, you may be wondering what this is right here. Now, let's say you record something and it doesn't sound as loud as you want it to. Adobe Audition, and I'm going to make this bigger so you can see it. Once you start playing stuff back here in Adobe Audition, you're going to see the levels here. You're going to see the levels. So let's take a look at the levels. The audio has began to record. You want the levels to go anywhere in the yellow area over here. Once they start peaking in the red to the right, or they're in the green, you want to kind of adjust or edit. In the red is a little too hot, too loud. In the green, maybe a little too soft. Now, in order for you to increase or decrease the volume, it could affect a lot of things. It could affect the quality of the audio. There may be some things in the audio that you're bringing up louder that makes it even worse. But if you have a good recording space, then you should be good to go. So if you want to select all of your audio, you do Command or Control A. That selects the entire bit of audio. And then you're going to see this guy right here. This is your amplitude adjustment tool. This gives you a little kind of circular tool to kind of drag to the right to increase and drag to the left to decrease. Now, you're going to see something that says right here, lowercase d, uppercase B. This is decibels. This is how audio is measured as far as loudness and softness. There's much more technical terms I could be using, but I'm trying to keep it simple. So basically, when we drag this to the right and you see the audio waveform getting bigger from top to bottom, it's increasing the volume level. When we drag this to the left, it is decreasing the volume level. I like to keep mine baseline at first and then play it back, and I like to keep it anywhere from the -12 to -6 dBs, depending on the nature of my project, okay? That's kind of where you may want to keep yours as well, okay? So we talked about that. We've talked about increasing and decreasing the volume of it. That's going to be the basics of recording in Audition as far as a single track goes. I do want to cover briefly our toolbar up here. You can see right here I have our time selection tool. This is just going to be your cursor right here. we have a couple of tools I want to go over. I'm not going to go over the selection marquee tools here because that deserves a video in itself. But you also have something called the spot healing tool. If we select the spot healing tool and then go down here to our frequency, you can see now it turns into a circle. If I see there's a problem in my audio here, I can kind of highlight that audio and start painting over that. It tries to auto heal and it normally does a good job. I highly recommend that you listen back multiple times to make sure that it didn't make the audio sound abrupt or cut something off, because oftentimes it can do that as well. So your toolbar is up here as well if you want to do that. And then lastly, before we jump into the multi-track editor, I do want to talk briefly about favorites and presets. So you can add effects to audio. So what I'll do is I'll bring up the effects rack. So here's our effects rack here, and we're going to go ahead and drag that underneath. Because I'm OCD, I'm going to drag it down below here. You can see 1, 2, 3, 4. These are all the different effects that you've added to the audio. Currently, I have no effects. But if I go up here, I select the audio by Command or Control A, go to Effects, right here down below. Again, if you know a bunch of stuff about audio and how to add effects, this is going to be great for you. But if you don't, I would recommend not to worry about this too much. But you can add like amplitude and compression, and we'll go ahead and add some amplify here. And then you can see my effect box comes up, and then you have different presets. You can boost it. There's like some boosts here. So let's say we want to boost it to +1 dB. We go to apply. That will add that effect. And then once we do, we'll see that effect on our effects rack down below. So you'll select that there, go to effects, go to amplitude and compression, choose the one that you want to apply, and then apply that to that audio, okay? Anything within Audition, you can hit Command or Control Z to undo, just like I just did there to remove that effect. Now, if you want to favorite something, this one is probably my one of the ones that I love the best, is I have a bunch of favorites here that I've created. You can see a couple of these up top here. If you want to basically have a favorite audio setting or effect that you want to add to your audio, you can go to Start Recording Favorite. And then what you would do is you would go to Effects and create your effect. So go to, say, Amplitude. We'll go to Dynamics. We'll add a preset here like an auto gate, and then we'll apply that. And then we'll go to Effects, and then we'll go to, right here, we'll go to De-esser, and then we'll apply that. And then we'll go to Favorites, and then Stop Recording Favorite. Then you give that favorite a name. So we'll say New Effect, and then click OK. Now when you go to Favorites, right here, you'll see something called New Effect. So everything that you did from when you hit Start Recording to Stop Recording, once you click this one button, will be applied to your audio. I love that because I've created a bunch of effects over the years, and I can go back and apply those with just one button as opposed to going in the effects rack and doing it one by one. Okay, that's kind of how you would work with effects within Adobe Audition. All right, now let's go to the multi-track editor. All right, so go to File, New, Multi-Track Session. Give it a name, click OK. Here we are. We are in the multi-track editor. The scroll wheel of your mouse, if it's hovered over the left track side over here, if you go up, it'll reduce the size. If you go down, it will increase the size. I like to keep mine around that size there. Now, you can record in the multi-track editor. So you can select a track here, give it a name, and go to record and start recording on top of that track if you want to. I do not recommend doing that. It's something that I really suggest you don't do. So what I normally do is record my tracks individually like I have done before. And then what I would do is I would click those tracks. So let's say you have a normal track like you have here. What I would do is under the files over here is I would go to my multi-track session here, and then I would just drag that individual audio file, like I've done here, into my multi-track, just like that there. And if you want to get an audio file into your multi-track here from your computer, go to File right here, and then go to Import File. And then what you would do here is find that file that you want to insert into your audio file here, and you're good to go. It's going to show up under your Files tab over here or wherever you have it. And then what you would do is you'd click and hold and just drag that into a new track. Now, each of these tracks are going to be edited or can be edited individually. And so what I mean by that is that you can give those tracks an individual name by double-clicking the track name. You can increase the volume of a specific track right here by adjusting the wheel to the left or right, depending on if you need to increase or decrease the volume. And then you can also go here and select a track. So if I select a track here, you can even go to effects and apply effects individually to said track. Let's say you want to mute a track and you don't want to hear it. You can click the mute little M icon right here. And basically, if we do that, you can see it kind of grays out that audio track. And now when we play it back with the playhead, I press space, the playhead's going left to right, but I don't hear anything because I have muted that track. So you can mute it here. And then a couple other things you can do is basically, I'm not going to cover too much more on the different ins and outs of the different things you can do, but I do want to kind of zoom out of this area here and show you, basically you can go to the right or left of the track and you can go left or right by dragging it and decreasing the length of that track. So let's say we want to cut that out. You can do that by going there and then you can drag to the right to increase. Also, if we have the playhead here, I'm going to mute it for the purposes of this video. We can hit the T key, which is the split key, and it'll split those files in half. Now, yours may be different. I've set mine to T. In order to see or change your keyboard shortcuts for Adobe Audition, you would want to go to Edit and then go to Keyboard Shortcuts, and then you'll see your keyboard come up here. This can be complicated, so I would get used to the normal default ones, and then once you've done that, you can go in and change it. But as you can see, my T key right here is set to split, okay? So whenever I am in an audio file here, I can hit the T key, and it'll split that audio, and I can drag that bit of audio individually now from the others to a different track. So you can do a number of things within the audio editor here, splitting audio, decreasing and increasing the size, moving those around. And then the last thing that I want to show you is, let's just say I'm going to go ahead and import an outro so I can show you what it means to fade in and fade out. So let's say we have this bit of audio here. We're going to unmute the track and we are going to zoom in. You can zoom in by dragging the preview up here at the top of your timeline. And here's our audio track. So a couple of things here. You can increase and decrease the audio of that specific track by hovering your mouse over the volume line here and then clicking and holding and raising it to increase and then lowering it to decrease the total volume. But over here, you'll see something at the very beginning and end of an audio track. You'll see the sliders, the little fade out and fade in sliders. If I drag it to the left here, you can see it's going to fade out from top to bottom. Something I like to do is I like to do this one. So it's going from really high here at the top, and then it kind of fades out. Just like you see there, the music kind of fades out. And then you can add an intro by dragging the line here. It's hard to see on this one because of the color of that track, but as you can see, I can create any type of fade in or fade out effect by just dragging. So play with these, see which one works best for you. All right, so now let's talk about exporting and saving our files. So what you want to do with an individual track, once you have it done, is go to File and then go to Save As. Make sure everything is the way you want it. I would save in WAV format or .wav, but if you need something in MP3 or another audio file format, you can select the drop-down menu and do so here. Choose where you want to save it, and then give the file a name. Once you're good to go, click OK. It says it already exists. Do you want to overwrite? I'll say yes. It'll save that file. Now you have your finished audio file that you can drag into your video editor or upload to your podcast provider, whatever you're trying to do. If you are in a multi-track editor like this one here, and you want to save all of the audio together, everything you've created for your podcast or song or whatever it is, go to File, Export, Multi-Track, Mix Down, Entire Session. Now, let's say you only wanted to export a selected clip. You could do so by just choosing the Selected Clips option here, but we're going to go to Entire Session. Now, once we've done that, give it a name, choose where you want to save it, and then choose the audio format in which you want to save it as, and then click OK. It'll export, it'll break it down, and it'll save your finished product here within your multi-track editor. That's it. That's how you get started with Adobe Audition. Hopefully I covered something that you needed to learn here in this video tutorial. If you have any further questions, which you probably will, I'll have a pinned FAQ comment down below where you can put your question and me or someone in the community will get to it as soon as possible. Thank you guys as always for watching my content, and I will see you guys in the next video.